Bringing us home today, fresh off a costly suspension right before the playoffs. He's a father of four, cannabis advocate, and the outspoken CEO of grassroots veteran nonprofit organization Weed for Warriors, breaking us off with a little news from a certified veteran's perspective. Sean Kiernan.
Rico, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the fighting you do behind the scenes to free me from my oppression of Jason. So thank you very much, my friend.
All about the freedom,
there
brother.
We go.
All about the freedom.
I'm here to talk about a specific bill, but more importantly, what we see is all these bills, and it's an improvement talking to the veterans issues, and it's not something that's been working for a while here in Washington, and that's changing. So a big shout out to people working in Washington, and a lot of people like Gretchen on the ground doing things every day behind the scenes. Thank you very much. But this goes to the Veterans Safe Harbor Act, which its supporters, if passed, they believe the legislation, this comes from Beard Bro Farms. They have Beard Bro Farms Media, and unlike the corporate perspective, they really give a grassroots view. And so I'll be contributing to them every once in a while, and I appreciate Bill and Jeff, their brothers, with the support they give in Weed for Warriors for a long time. If passed, they believe the legislation would make it easier for veterans to access medical cannabis as an alternative form of treatment. And if you look at the wording, it sounds good, but if you look at the wording, I'm going to give my response. The question to ask with all these cannabis bills suddenly using the veteran moniker in them is, what do they actually do for veterans? No more so than the Veterans Medical Marijuana Safe Harbor Act, introduced last week in the Senate by Brian Schatz, Democrat from Hawaii, and in the House of Representatives by Congressional Cannabis Caucus co-chairs, Representative Barbara Lee, Democrat from California, and David Joyce, a Republican from Ohio, who I believe and I do like. Does the bill offer veterans a 5-year safe harbor from punishment for state legal cannabis use as stated? No. Let's be clear. Veterans can, have been, and are using cannabis in all states today without recourse in terms of benefits they say are protecting, being threatened by the VA or other federal agencies like Social Security. Does it push VA doctors to write recommendations they cannot write today? No. In 2002, Conant versus Water, a legal case decided by the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, affirmed the right of the physicians to speak about and recommend medical marijuana. The ruling set precedent, protecting doctors, patients, and state medical marijuana programs in the 10 states at the time of the Ninth Circuit. The government appealed the case, but the Supreme Court declined to take the appeal in a brief notice, October 14th, 2003, letting stand the Ninth Circuit's view. Additionally, under Title III, or the doctor-patient relationship section of the Medical Marijuana and Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act signed in December 2022, it states, and this was the Grassley-Feinstein bill, it shall not be a violation of the Controlled Substance Act for a state-licensed physician to discuss the currently known potential harms and benefits of marijuana and marijuana derivatives, including cannabidiol, as a treatment with the patient or the legal guardian of the patient, of the physician, if the patient is a legal adult, or with a legal guardian if patient is a child. Does it mandate the VA perform clinical trials leading to a definitive ruling under the FDA regulatory framework on whether whole plant cannabis has medicinal value? That would be another no. The positive going on in Washington, D.C., and it's apparent with this newfound focus on veterans and cannabis legislation, is the de-radicalization or dilution of privilege within the, quote, cult controlling the cannabis agenda. Congressman Earl Blumenauer's leadership on cannabis, while brave, fostered and promoted an anti-veteran sentiment within congressional staffs and national cannabis advocacy groups, with the addition of mainstream politicians like Jackie Rosen, Democrat from Nevada, David Joyce, Republican from Ohio, and so many more now actively involved in embracing cannabis normalization. That is changing, and for that I am thankful. Virtue signaling alone doesn't bring effective policy. Virtue signaling to rally support for bad policy like Prop 64 in California hurts long-term virtue signaling to rally broad support, then demanding functional, workable policy to bring a better tomorrow is priceless and the goal. Best public cannabis policy is policy that undermines the illicit or black market. That is done with a focus on access. Without legal access, the illicit market will provide all the illicit access demanded. That means more crime, more environmental damage, more workers lacking protection from exploitation, and dealers our children have easy access to. I believe we have a chance to move the needle this year and next, but it's going to take putting bodies into the street, which we are prepared to do, onto the phone lines and not settling for the lip service so prevalent in American politics. Call Sacramento, see what they think. We can say no thank you and ask for a better effort. That is what I'm doing. God bless the USA, and I'm going to shut up.